Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our chats with Emily, as we are calling our poetry reading and study of the poems of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition, and we turn now to poem 477, No Man Can Compass a Despair. Compass here for her will mean like define or realize or fully appreciate. And despair she uses in some 31 of the poems that we will study together. Now, maybe this is another theodicy. In other words, why must we live with despair? In some ways, we're back to poems 258 and 305 that we've already studied together, and that's kind of where our assumptions begin. I'm hopeful that you've already worked with our stuff. Our playlist is at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily. And I'm hopeful that you've worked through our set of introductory comments. I'm hopeful that as well you've read already and studied with us the previous 476 poems. We just finished with 476, I meant to have but modest needs. And if you studied that one with us, you know that that notion of, what does she call it, suspicious, as she looks at the air, suspicions, will play, I think, into this as well. Now, I think the influence of Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress from 1678 cannot be overstated. Emily saw life as a journey, and in that regards, she's constantly considering the role of pain. And in that regards, back to our big five, the epistemology, ontology, psychology, sociology, and finally this question of theodicy. What are we going to do with the pain? She'll mention pain in some 52 of her poems, and here she'll be playing the game again of pain and despair. No man can compass a despair as round a goalless road, no faster than a mile at once the traveler proceed. Unconscious of the width, unconscious that the sun be setting on his progress, so accurate the one at estimating pain, whose own has just begun, his ignorance, the angel that pilot him along. Now, the idea of what we can do and know about pain and despair is central to this idea of the journey. And again, I think I'm validated in saying Pilgrim's Progress stands behind much of this poem. She even uses the word progress. Notice she'll begin, though, with this idea of the compass. By compass here, she means the ability to fully understand, realize, or appreciate despair. As, notice here, round a goalless road. The only time she ever used this word goalless was here. Goalless road, no faster than a mile at once the traveler proceed. Of course, you could make the argument that Homer's Odyssey and Odysseus' longing to return home to Ithaca also stands behind this poem. And then we've got two of these unconscious, and then, of course, the word ignorance to end the poem. Unconscious of the width, unconscious that the sun be setting on his progress. So accurate. The one, and the real reading here should be something like, so far from being accurate is the one. So accurate, the one at estimating. We're back to this idea of compass again. Estimating, or we're back to the inferring of the previous poem, 476, as estimating pain, right? In other words, what is the point of pain? This is the question of theodicy. This is the question of the book of Job, right? This is the question of so many different theodicic enterprises. What is the point of all this pain? I mean, I just mentioned Homer's Odyssey. We've given full lectures at learnstrong.net. You'll remember in that opening set of lines, right? One of the questions right after the invocation of the muse is Zeus saying, look, the pain of humans is not the gods' fault. They make their own decisions in that regards. Here, notice, we can't really estimate pain, whose own has just begun. Why? His ignorance, the angel, right? The ignorance of the future pains that are coming, that pilot him along. You'll remember pilot from when we did poem 4. Now, what exactly is it she's arguing here at 2a? I think she's arguing that sometimes ignorance is bliss. That is to say, we know more pain is coming, but how do you deal with it until it arrives? We live in a certain kind of ignorance. Now, we have said already that Emily seems to often suggest that when bad things happen, pain, despair, our sense is to ask, why did this happen to me? Emily seems to often argue, you gotta learn to ask a different question. Not why did this happen to me, but rather, why did this happen for me? And for Emily, so much of writing these poems is maybe hoping to get to that understanding. At 2b, well, obviously the journey motif is central to this study. At 3a, we mentioned the Odyssey and Pilgrim's Progress. I would also mention, of course, Dante's Divine Commedia, where Dante the Pilgrim will take his journey, and there are moments when he's done. You'll remember in Canto 24, and Virgil has to say to him, "Up on your feet, this is no time to tire. The man who lies asleep will never wake in fame, and his desire and all his life slip past him like a dream." We've given full lectures at learnstrong.net if you'd like to run that study to ground. Finally, at 3b, what was a time for you when ignorance of future pain was a certain kind of bliss? And I'm hopeful that our study of Emily is allowing you to redefine pain. Thank you.